I'd like to bring into our coverage IDF spokesperson, Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus. If you could just start by telling us what's happening.
Well, a few minutes ago, rockets were fired towards Tel Aviv and other parts of central Israel. Hundreds of thousands, I'd say maybe millions of Israelis rushed to bomb shelters during the Shabbat dinner. It's Friday night in Israel. And since then, they've gone out of shelters, resumed either watching TV or worrying for sons and husbands who have been deployed in the military. And operations continue in Gaza as well. We have called on Gazan civilians to vacate the northern part of the Gaza Strip out of a concern for their safety. And according to the reports that I have, many Gazans are indeed heeding that warning, despite the fact that Hamas is telling them not to.
Colonel Conricus, what is the, if you can share with us at this point, what is the military objective of whatever this imminent next phase is? Is it the targeted killing of Hamas, as I understand it to be?
Well, the overall objective of this war is to dismantle Hamas and its military capabilities. And what we're doing now at this stage is focusing on the city of Gaza. We're focusing on that area because that is the center of operations of Hamas. That is where the hub of their activity is. That is where most of their commanders are, most of their resources, most of their weapons. And that is where most of the terrorists are also hiding as fighting is ongoing. And what we've done is to tell the civilians, out of a concern for your safety, leave, because things are going to get much worse in Gaza City, and if you stay, you are endangering yourself. And the next stage will be an escalation, serious combat activities in Gaza City, which will ensue. And we hope that the civilians will not be there, because it is not our intention or goal to kill civilians, and we want them out of the combat zone. The more and the faster, the better.
U.S. Secretary of State said today that, quote, Israel has an obligation to defend itself. I just played U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin making similar comments. U.S. President Joe Biden has said every day, I think since Saturday, the same thing, stalwart support from the United States of America. And adjacent to that is a lot of criticism ahead of this operation that is likely to endanger and kill civilians in Gaza. How do you communicate the necessity of what is about to happen in response to the terrorist attack on Saturday morning?
Yeah, let's break that down. We find ourselves in a war that we didn't want, that was forced upon us by the most atrocious attack ever in our history. That's how it started almost a week ago. Since then, we have regained control over our southern territory. We have rebuilt the border fence. So the defense part of the operation has been more or less stabilized. And now we are at the second stage, which is bringing the fighting to Hamas. Hamas is holding more than 100 Israelis hostage. Military and mostly civilians are in the hands of Hamas. And what we are doing now is preparing to escalate our combat activities in order to eventually dismantle Hamas and its military capabilities. That is our aim.
Your country is dealing, as you said, with this historic shock, the largest number of Jews slaughtered anywhere on the globe since the Holocaust. It's a country at shock. It's a country also preparing, country at war, but preparing to escalate the war. How would you describe the psyche of the men and women who have, in some instances, returned to Israel to defend their country?
What I've seen from personal accounts, friends and family, relatives from abroad that are now already back in Israel, gearing up in uniform and ready to go to battle. And what I've seen on social media is, I would say, a blend of extreme sadness and frustration and anger at what Hamas was able to do against our civilians, the atrocities. And, you know, I don't want to go back and tell about the executions and the beheadings and all of that horrible, those horrible images that we have seen and spoken about. But people are really immense in that. And where people are now is that they understand that this is not another round of fighting with Hamas. We are at war, and we need to respond to this fundamentally different situation that we find ourselves in, and we need to change our reality fundamentally for generations to come. And I think many Israelis understand that. Fathers and mothers and fathers understand it. The men and women who are now in uniform understand it, and I would say that the level of commitment, resolve, and focus to get the job done with Hamas and dismantle their military capabilities is unprecedented. And I'm also happy to say that, at least what I can assess, the levels of national unity and people coming together in this darkest of our hours is also high. And we draw a lot of comfort from that in the IDF, and we intend to leverage all of that for achieving our military aim here against Hamas.
It has been said to me many times since the beginning of the week that everybody in Israel knows somebody, lost somebody, knows somebody has been taken hostage. Has this affected you? Do you know somebody?
Yes, not only do I know soldiers and officers who were close friends of mine who are now either dead or missing, but also civilians from Kibbutz Kfar Aza and from Be'eri. A very close friend of mine, his father was executed at the entrance to his home. And if you ask around, you know, all of the other soldiers here, they have either close friends or family. My nearest relatives are now in uniform in the reserves, and they are getting ready for battle around the Gaza Strip. So it is a all hands on deck, literally speaking, on a national level. And Israel is gearing up and getting focused. And I think that the common denominator is that, yes, this touches everybody. Nobody is disconnected from these atrocities, and that the level of resolve and commitment is very high. We didn't want this. We didn't ask for this war. We are not bloodthirsty, and we only want to live in peace. But the situation here has become untenable, and we are about to change it for a long, long time ahead.